my name is Hin Tran and I'll be reviewing Group 9 Software Requirements Specification, otherwise known as the SRS. This document introduces the project scope along with the operating environment and any features, designs, and assumptions. The user requirements, use cases, external interface requirements, and other non-functional requirements are also outlined in this document. As the requirements have been constantly shifting, we decided that we would explicitly define the requirements rather than linking them at this point in time. This is so that the requirements are flexible and a single change won't cause a domino effect. From a reviewing perspective, all requirements have been written to a consistent level of detail, as we have had them reviewed by the client multiple times. The requirements are technically implementable and testable, with the exception of the mapping-related requirements due to the DTD not being available yet as of this time. The priorities were intentionally left out during the initial draft as we were not clear on how the client prioritized the requirements. However, in our most recent SRS version 2.0 and version 2.1, we have clarified with the client and have added the priorities to suit their needs. The hardware, software, and communication interfaces have been defined in the overall description. The algorithms have not been properly defined yet because of our currently limited knowledge of the robot's capabilities. Some of the features were not explicitly required by the client, such as clicking on a map to move the robot to a position. We brought this up with the client and they were happy for us to implement it as a requirement. The SRS was organized through the use of GitHub and LaTeX. Using LaTeX to create a template for the document made it easy to add additional points and sections. The only aspects we found ourselves lacking is documenting anticipated error conditions and refinement of the requirements such that they do not contain more than one identifiable requirement. Example of this would be one of the control requirements as it related to the graphic user interface as well. The next version of the SRS plans to fix this. There was an overlap with some of the control and GUI requirements, but they were addressed and merged in SRS version 2.1. For example, the requirement here was essentially the same, even though one was based off control and the other was based off the graphic user interface. The requirements overall have been written with language best to our ability, and most grammatical or content errors have been dealt with. The scope is well defined and pairs well with our requirements with no missing information for any requirements. They are all either testable, demonstratable, reviewable, or analyzable and can be done within known constraints. Once again, error messages are one of the areas that require attention in the coming version of the SRS. As of the feedback received from the client after the initial draft, we added additional quality requirements to make our code flexible and reusable for ease of future updates, as well as making the graphic user interface user-friendly. We have thoroughly considered the safety of the robot to ensure that it will not be damaged. However, we did not specify anything regarding to the security of the robot which may be vulnerable to outside communication. We will address this in future versions. As the requirements were not yet finalized, the unique identifiers were kept as generic. However, they all fit under a higher level requirement as shown in the contents page here. All dependencies have also been identified under the overall description. All requirements have been designed to ensure that they require design or implementable to satisfy the criteria. The only time critical requirement for the survey is to complete the survey within 20 minutes. There are not any specified standards to be followed. Moving forward, in the SRS version 2.1, we are looking to address missing elements such as errors and solidifying our requirements and allocating the more unique identifiers. We will also be fixing up any overlapping requirements, and this can all be expected to be achieved within the next week. Our initial draft for the SRS was objectively a solid start, and the version 2.0 amended a lot of the issues noted from the feedback we received. Thank you.